Investigators have found writings on Matthew Livelsberger's phone that could explain why he committed suicide and exploded a Cybertruck outside of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas on New Year's Day. According to NBC News, the writings were found on an app that served as a journal on his phone. In one of the messages, he tells fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, it's time to wake up because the country's leadership is weak and only serves to enrich themselves. Another reads, we are the United States of America, the best country to ever exist. But right now, we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse. This was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives? I need to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burden of the lives I took. NBC reports that other topics in Livelsberger's writings include conflicts elsewhere, domestic issues, societal issues, and personal challenges. He was 37 years old and he was living in Colorado. He was also an active duty U.S. Army Green Beret. And an anonymous family member and former Army colleague told CNN that he was a patriotic Trump supporter. They said when President Trump was in office, Livelsberger would comment on his Facebook page about the things President Trump had said or done or how he's helping the military. Matt had a lot of respect for Mr. Trump. He just loved the guy. Spencer Evans, a special agent in charge of the Las Vegas field office of the FBI, stated that there was no link between Livelsberger and any terrorist organization. He said, although this incident is more public and more sensational than usual, it ultimately appears to be a tragic case of suicide involving a heavily decorated combat veteran who is struggling with PTSD and other issues. So interesting update. He's not wrong. Americans don't really react to things unless they are very acute and very shocking and very dramatic. It's unfortunate that this is the only way that he felt he was able to get his message across. But at the same time, you know, we know that he was a Trump supporter according to, you know, what we've seen from his online footprint and from what others have said. But the message that he had that was reported to us was it could have been any side was talking about it. You know, it wasn't very specific. Not that I'm looking for specifics here, but I'm saying that, you know, overall in this country, this is a thing that a lot of people can relate to as far as we all feel a little bit helpless. We all feel like people need to wake up. We're all desperate for some kind of change. We just have different ideas of what that change looks like. Sharon, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on this?
You know, so many, I think it's a dangerous thing to suggest that imbalanced, crazy. It's just one of those things. It's just a case of suicide, as I think you were relating some of the details. This is someone who, whether you agree with it or not, was quite reasoned in this deadly, self-inflicted attack. I also understand what terrorism by definition is, but I would suggest that the radicalization, starting with disinformation, is terrorism. It is terrorism. Here you have someone who was a huge supporter of the incoming president, but also talked about those who are out to enrich themselves. Mm-hmm. So how do you reconcile the two things? I think it's something that is a cautionary tale. Someone who serves their country as a Green Beret, who does this, and their reasoning why, the evidence they left behind as to why they did it. I think it's a huge problem, and I think it is terrorism, albeit not the definition that is widespread and well known.
Yeah, it's interesting. The terrorism definition, or the sense that we have as to what terrorism is, maybe we should broaden it. You know, I think this is a complicated case in that it's layered, right? He messages in a way that would suggest he's making some fairly decent insights. I mean, again, it's like kind of a 30,000-foot jetliner view of where America is. These are the grievances shared by many, directions of the country, underpinning philosophies of where America is right now. But I don't want to lose track of something very important to me when I look at the facts, and that is, look, he had a lot of personal problems, okay? He had just broken up with his wife, apparently, based on published reports. 6 days prior to this, there had been allegations of infidelity. So you had in this story a lot of personal pressure that was asserting itself on his life in a way in which he may not have been able to deal. And so when you add that to his existing grievances, or when you add the grievances to those stressors associated with what I've just talked about, he just had a new baby in September. I mean, it seems to me as though there might have been a lot of personal issues, and you include the PTSD. I mean, in all of that, there was a lot that was pointing to serious issues for this guy, and he takes it all out in one hugely dramatic act. And I think you guys both appropriately point to the fact that, in that, and you'll pardon this use of this word, but that theatricality, that over-the-top way in which he made this statement, there is sort of a pushback on all of that, which I just mentioned.
Yeah, I just kind of feel sad for him, because I think that the feeling of helplessness that comes across in his messages that they found is something that's entirely relatable to so many Americans. And Mark, you're so right to point all of that out, that he had so much other stuff going on in his personal life, but so many Americans do too. I feel like so many of us are just teetering on the brink of, just not being able to deal anymore, or not wanting to deal anymore. And, sometimes people, on top of everything else, he had the PTSD. He had done things that I can't even comprehend, I would imagine, and in his time in the Green Berets. And he said that he wanted to do it for his brothers. He said he wanted to do it for, the lives that he had on his head, that he had taken as well. That is an unimaginable burden. I really can't wrap my head around it. So we'll keep an eye on the story and see if any more development comes out of it. And, hopefully it wasn't in vain. I don't know what good could come from something like this, but we'll have to see.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.